got no new tricks. We know who they are. And they showed us yesterday who they are, right? But we have to remember who we are. And so using our power, whatever that leverage of power is, using our power of prayer, using our power of sisterhood, using our power of organizing, using our power to vote, that ultimately we have to use when you know that your community is under attack, you have to use every single tool available to you. And so part of what is happening, we're seeing the voter suppression and all the other things that are happening right now because it's working. It's not because we're losing, y'all. We're winning, right? And so that's what the pushback, that's how you know. That's how you know. So I am just grateful. I'm feeling the same way she is. First, giving honor to God. I am just sitting here in the spirit, grateful, listen, in this particular moment.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. So,
I think what's next is important. I think the context for what's next is it really lies in strategy. The one thing that black communities historically have done is when there was an end goal, everybody understood their lane and rode to the same destination. And now the next step is 2022. And if we stay consistent with strategy, we stay consistent with unity, what I will say is that the beauty of the room, I'll say the sanctuary on that White House lawn, was the commitment to reaching a goal. She was the goal. And now we have to move to the next part of this goal, but also this idea of collective power. Collective power and universal power really lies in who's at a table, one, but who is actually setting a table, setting an agenda, and then putting appropriations behind that agenda. So we have to think about resources, we have to think about strategy, and then we have to think about removing egos. I think that one thing you can see now is that black people are clearer. Every single day I get excited because I know that our ability to stay aligned is actually working. And by the presence of those sitting on this panel, by the presence of the civil rights leaders, the organizations, the faith leaders, right? Not just churches. I'm a reverend, but there's imams, there's mosques that are having the same conversation. So what God put together, let no one separate. And I think that's what this movement is now. That's what's next.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so very much. And we're going to start. So come on up. Thank you all so much. All right. Yes. We're having a black family reunion up in here. Thank you, Roland Martin, for letting us take the all right. So my sister Cleola Brown, National President of A. Philip Randolph Institute. We're over here. Roland Martin is live stream for us today so we can take this joy out of the room. So tell us, how does it make you feel and what's next?
I looked, my whole heart just blew up because Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson took time to thank everyone before her. And she even recognized the staff that worked with her. That's grace. That's dignity. That's class. But to be able to Vice President, who happened to be a black woman also. And here stood a Supreme Court judge. God is good to let me live this long to see this day. So I am happy. I am happy. And there were tears of joy.
My sister, Tackler Ross, of the NAACP, and so much more.
I'm just so full to be here, to be alive, to see this day. There's a word in the Bible that says, this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice. We have been rejoicing in this wonderful experience to see this finally come. And what Sister Clay just said, not only to see the President of the United States, but to see two black women flank him, one on the left and one on the right. It is amazing for generations of young black girls, generations yet unborn, to say, I see myself. And for that sister with her humility, with her dignity, and with President Biden said, her brilliance, to be so humble and speak to the ancestors about the importance of this moment. One generation from slavery to the Supreme Court. That's a powerful, powerful statement. And I believe that courage must not skip this generation.
My job, choir, council for the National Coalition with voter participation. She is Professor of and so what you thinking?
We don't have enough time, but I'll start. And what I'll say is, this is a blessed day. It's one that I did not believe we would have an opportunity to share. And so every moment of yesterday and today is under the grace of God. I'll start there. But I also want to talk about our newest justice. And she was able to maintain and continue to give her testimony under oath and in a way that the rest of America could understand her philosophy. I was most impressed by the fact that her approval rating went up after the hearings. Okay? What did that say? It meant Americans looked at this. Okay, what's the problem here? And then, as this is that's another issue that she had to deal with and dealt with well. But more than that, it was her grace and how she recognized her staff, how she made sure that everyone who had assisted her on her way was acknowledged. That's home training, okay, to start with. But more importantly, it's letting other people know who's important and why. And beyond that, her writing, her legal writing is extraordinary, which is another reason. Well, when you talk for three people, that helps. But then when you're a federal district court judge and sitting on the most important circuit court, that helps too. So qualifications were never a question, even though they were questioned by others. But more importantly, her spirit is what is inspiring me to do whatever I can to help her be the best justice.
Okay, I think we have a station break. No, not yet. No, not yet. All right, so Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, the founder of Insight Unlimited. She's also our co-editor this year, again, for our Black Women's Roundtable 2022 report. And she's got so much more. So tell us, before you flip, we playing musical chairs today, and we have a couple of hosts that are going to help us through this couple of hours. So, but first, tell us what this means to you and what's next.
Thank you so much, Mel. I honestly, I haven't been able to take the smile off my face, right? I mean, this is history, and it's a hard-fought for history. When you think of the fact that for over 2 centuries, honestly, we've been, locked out of the highest court in the land when black women are central to what makes America America. There would not be an America without all that we have given and continue to give. And so to see a woman of such quality stature, of such fine temperament, of such intelligence, to be able to go and represent her genius in that spotlight, it is so fulfilling to see justice, no pun intended, finally be done by having a black woman on the highest court in the land. So it's a day to be celebrated.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. And we will go out there and have a good time and celebrate. And we're going to keep moving. And I got my sister, Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, who's going to come over here and help us moderate these conversations. So come on over. This is a hot seat. Come on over. Is my Brother Ben, you coming up? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm about to change out. I'm changing out. I'm going to go have a little celebration, and we're going to mix it up. All right, Abe, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right.
And we're going to keep it rolling. Everybody gets like one, and then we go.
Got it. Okay. I guess I'll scooch over. Oh, absolutely, no problem. Well, we will start with you, okay? Okay, well, we're so happy to be joined by another illustrious panel, and so given that time is of the essence, I would love to have Attorney Benjamin Crump's advice and perspectives around this historic day and what we all need to do to wrap our arms around her to keep her protected as she continues this journey at the next level of her career.
Absolutely. It is an honor to talk about this historic day. Ketanji is a dear friend of mine. We had the honor and pleasure of teaching at Harvard for 3 years in a row at their trial advocacy program. And the thing that riveted me so much today, and I think I was telling Sandy and some others, when we would talk at Harvard, we talking to all these very privileged young people who one day going to be running the world. And so I'd like to speak truth to power. I come with the fire and brimstone, tell them about racism, discrimination, and that kind of stuff. And then Judge Brown Jackson would come and say, let's talk about procedure. But today, you saw that passion. And that's what I was so thrilled about, because everybody knows she's brilliant. Everybody knows how articulate she is. But today, they got to see the passion of our ancestors coming through her body. And I could only think of my 9-year-old daughter, Brooklyn, because I said, wow, what a day for Brooklyn. I can't wait to talk to my little girl this evening about this historic day for not just America, not just for everybody in America, but especially for little black girls.
Absolutely. A historic day, especially for little black girls. And speaking of little black girls and black women, not only across the nation, but across the world, what better person to speak to that than the executive director of the National Council of Negro Women? So thinking about the perspective of what this means for black women, literally worldwide. Like before I came here, I just got off an interview with Canadian television that was also covering this live. The world is watching, okay? So, what does this mean for black women, not only here in the U.S., but around the world?
One of the things that NCNW is proud of is our relationship with the United Nations. Many people don't know that our founder, Mary McLeod Bethune, was present on the first day that the UN was organized in 1948. And so one of the ways that we achieved victory in the civil rights movement was those pictures from Birmingham didn't look good on European television. And so this is a day when the world can look at the United States and say, you know what? Maybe we have to cast them in a different light. There is the ugly America. They have these values, but they don't live up to them. But this is a day that we can proudly say we lived up to freedom, democracy, and justice. And that makes me feel good, because we got a water fight in the Ukraine. And how will that pan out if we are viewed as being just as hypocritical as the people who we are attempting to fight? The other thing is, I looked at the Four Musketeers, the senators who thought it was their duty to sort of try to pin the judge against the wall. But she carefully, meticulously, calmly picked their arguments apart. And I think that demonstrates something not only about her intellect, but her ability to demonstrate that intellect under fire. So this is an all-around great day. I've got 2 granddaughters, and so we've been talking the whole time about never again will they look at that court and think that there's not a place for them on it. So it's a glorious day.
It is. That it is. And Ms. Houston, wonderful to see you here. As an attorney, what does it mean to you to finally see a reflection of black womanhood at the United States Supreme Court?
Well, I think it means that all things are possible, right? It only took over 200 years. She's, I believe, the 116th justice. But it's possible. And I think for us as black women, it's not just the glass ceiling, it's a box, it's a glass box. And oftentimes we can't just be, we have to represent. and she represents us so well. And I think when you see her, you see not just the intellect, but the grace and the dignity and the temperament that is required of a Supreme Court justice. And she wears it so well, and she's so prepared. And I think that representation matters so much because, as she said today, she is the dream and the hope of the slave. And so we've come that far, and I think it shows not only that we've earned the space to be here, but that we built the space. And it was really just a very joyous day. I tried not to cry. I had a headache from not crying, but at the very end, I was able to let it go and really, really cry tears of joy because finally we're here and we're recognized. And we haven't just earned it. We belong here. We built it. Yeah.
So true. We belong and we built it. So, so true. When we think about the everyday black woman, when you think about the young sisters on college campuses, the young sisters that just are working, trying to make ends meet, what does this mean for the everyday sister who is maybe like making sure that ends are meeting every day? And does this really matter for them? In what way does this matter to have a reflection of them at the U.S. Supreme Court?
Well, absolutely. It is so affirming. I can tell you, I'm the elected state's attorney in Prince George's County. My name is Aisha Braveboy. And every single day I see young men and women, but when you see women who have made mistakes, you often think, gosh, if they just had a role model, or if they just had someone that they could look up to, if they just knew how great and brilliant they were, maybe they wouldn't have made that mistake. And for someone like Ketanji Brown Jackson to not only represent us as black women, but to have been a public defender that represented the everyday black woman, white woman, Hispanic woman, or man is so affirming to all of us. It's affirming to humanity. And I am incredibly blessed to be a part of this day. I actually wrote a poem in her honor. I hadn't written a poem since grade school, but the poem was called She Is Me, because what I saw in her was all of myself. And I knew that her experiences and her doubts and the issues that she had gone through as a black woman in the legal profession were the same ones that me and Sonny and so many others have gone through. And to make it to the highest level, again, affirming.
I absolutely love that. And we have been joined by other amazing historic people on this panel. So let me first recognize the amazing Reverend Jesse Jackson. Wonderful to see you. It's a pleasure to have you. I am doing great. How are you? That's the question. It is a great day. And you've been on this road toward justice for decades. Given all that you have given to this country, to this nation, to the world in your fight for justice, what does today's historic moment mean to you?
It's about opportunity and not just a personal capacity. We had judges before qualified to be judge. Judges Mobler should have been for their own Supreme Court. But our vote shifts, the power shifts. The power shift in the country. And we got more power that's unused. I mean, she has great capacity, but opportunities what she really had. Jackie Robinson could play baseball, but baseball played for him with more home runs. Opportunity. And so she sees the moment. Her qualifications make us feel good about ourselves. But we lost the Senate race in 2020. She had to display those talents. So my concern now is that we put a lot of focus on voter suppression, a real deal. My concern that Dr. King said that there would be a lot of drama in marching for the right to vote, to break down white barriers. But the unromantic side of it would be fulfilling the rights. just left Arkansas last week. A black running for governor, U.S. Senator. 250,000 blacks on the registered vote, 250,000. Put 200,000 blacks on the books in Arkansas. Why had to draw the lines? We'll be drawing the lines. We have power. The unused power of blacks in voting must be a big concern of ours. The Bible talks about in the parable of the lost sheep that Jesus left the one lost sheep, left 99 to go to the one lost sheep. Our lost sheep is our power, but our power is not in analyzing A and B and C and D, but our unused power. South Carolina has enough blacks unregistered right now at the governor's censor. It's radical. The former slave states that have the numbers, plus we begin to be a coalition. You take 10% progressive whites in a state like Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, South North Carolina, plus Latinos who moved there now and Asian Americans. We have the numbers to win the elections. And so she's going to the Supreme Court because the power to take it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's such a very powerful, no pun intended, statement here in that she would not be there if it were not for, in large part, the black woman's vote, especially in Georgia and other key states in the last election, and the fact that our power still has more space that it needs to take up, right? We have unused power that we need to make sure that we leverage in the future. But thinking about what's coming in the future in terms of the midterm elections, what should we be thinking about now, not just in terms of celebrating this day, but doesn't this provide one very real rubber to the road example of voting matters, elections matter, and we have power, and when we stand up and show out and make sure that we are there, we can make the impossible happen.
No, absolutely. And as my leader, whose shoulders we all stand on, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, has said, I happen to have been one of his lawyers for 35 years, so most of my entire legal practice, and have the honor of serving as the chair of his board. As he said, voting rights, the power of what we saw today is a reminder of how the vote counts. And so to answer your question directly, I think the solidarity, the support, the mobilizing, the very, very, very deliberate steps that primarily black women and black women's groups took in ensuring that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson become Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, and refusing to be denied, and making sure that that U.S. Senate understood it was never going to be acceptable for her not to be confirmed. And going into that for weeks and weeks and weeks before, the women who are here, I mean, I know we all represent different organizations, but Win with Black Women, the extraordinary women who have mobilized for so long, and the organizations, Reverend, Rainbow Push, the civil rights icons like you that have shown us the path. We heard Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson today say that it was the Dr. Kings, and then I'm adding the Reverend Jesse Jacksons and others that showed us the way. She's just the beneficiary of it. Right. She stepped right in, but if they hadn't shown the way and paved the way, she wouldn't have been able to step right in. And when we see, of course, Melanie Campbell here, I could, Janice Mathis, all of us, we have here the president-elect of the National Bar Association, Lanita Baker. You saw her because she was Breonna Taylor's lawyer. When we were talking about say Breonna's name, say her name, it was Lanita Baker who was saying her name. We have Tanya Clayhouse, one of the foremost, in my impression, civil rights gurus, lawyers, who is responsible for the funding of so many of the voting rights projects right here. And I say that because they're National Bar Association members. And by the way, I guess I'm just a little bit biased, But, just a tiny bit as a, past president of the National Bar. But I want to recognize the extraordinary power that's in this room and the women that have helped to get us this far. We know we put President Biden into office. This was one of his promises. By the way, we helped to put Vice President Kamala Harris into office. Insisted, they thought the women who were part of this coalition insisted that the president do it. And, the Democratic Party said, oh, no, this is crazy. We're going to fail. Oh, my goodness, what's going to happen? We could never win. And guess what? We won. And that that solidarity, strength, and power was demonstrated so that I believe the U.S. Senate knew, do not play, right? This is not play. She better be confirmed. I'm just saying that in different types of words. Perhaps we can say it more diplomatically, Reverend. But they understood that there was a movement behind Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. And when she spoke today, if ever anyone needed validation, for me, this day means a day of validation. If ever anyone needed validation about why we must be here, why we must take our place, why she deserves to be there, why she's going to make history, more than the history she's made, it was by listening to her today. So, you know.
Power changes rules. In the 1948, Blacks did not play in the NBA. Abe Sapperstein set up a game between the world champion Minneapolis Lakers and the Harlem Globetrotters, the clowns of basketball. They beat the Lakers twice. Next year, Lord from Syracuse became an NBA member. 15 guys, including 5 guys, including Rooney from Pittsburgh, Hallis from Chicago, Marshall from Chicago, and Marshall from Washington, and the guy from New York. They decided blacks shouldn't be in the NFL. They've been there 15 years. In 1949, the Bears won the World Series of football, lost $18,000. Needed blacks. So Motley from Grambling and Jim Brown, they re-raised the game. And Jackie Robinson, we know him as a base seal and all that. Jackie Robinson signed a deal with to not to protest in 3 years. So his teammates passed a petition so he couldn't play. They wouldn't play if he played. Now, he hit the field with his teammates when he get hit. He was spiked so many times he had to move from first base to second base. Matter of fact, he was hit more time with the ball in the first year than the previous league had been hit this year. My point is, he bore the burden of Russia. That set the climate for this day. It sets the climate for the 54 decision. I'm saying that, but I really honor her capacity. She was so smooth laying out the layers of the law. But we'd be dominant in the courses in basketball if we use our votes. We have the capacity right now. Not only Georgia, we can take the South Senate in the South. We can take back U.S. Senate. We can go to the races in the South. And so we have more blacks still yet with the slave syndrome that they don't matter. That's how I must say, I'm somebody, you must matter. We must now go not just to march on Washington about, I'm going to Arkansas, South Carolina, and Georgia here. Focus on just raising people to vote. If we get that power, many more days like this.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I'm going to run because I see we have other extraordinary participants here. And I just have to say to my president-elect, soon-to-be president of the National Bar Association, Lonita Baker. Pardon me? They haven't spoken. I'm going to go so that I'm going to give them the mic because but I wanted to introduce her properly because she is bad to the bone. And thank you for all that you do. And Tanya Clayhouse, thank you for all that you do. And now I'm going to go because I have a flight to catch. Yes. Thank you for all that you do.
Well, hello there, Miss Baker. Wonderful to see you.
You too.
Hold on just a second. I think they're going to take a picture.
With this brother right here, we had to just stop for a moment. Can we stop? Because we know what Reverend Jesse Jackson did to make this moment happen. And so we're going to take a stop and take this moment.
Your show is your party.
Hold on 1 second, y'all. All right, wrap it up.
All right, right here, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Gotcha.
You do. You really do.
I just want to say hi, Soror.
Jazz got to leave soon.
Okay.
Avis, it's so good of you to do this. I enjoy your LinkedIn page.
Represent. All right, Ms. Baker. All right. Congratulations, by the way, President-elect. Okay, are we ready to go? Janice has to go? Okay, so really quickly, a question for Janice first. All right. So happy to be rejoined by Janice Mathis, Executive Director of the National Council of Negro Women. You know, I believe that Reverend Jackson really gave us a charge here around the capacity of our power that remains unused and what could happen if we were to fully flex our electoral power at the polls. You know, to me, it's like what we've done here today is amazing, but really it could be the tip of the iceberg of all the change that we could create. What are your thoughts around how do we maximize black voting power?
Well, thank you, Avis, and thank you for your dedication and your creativity and that powerful intellect of yours that is always challenging. When I think about what it means to us today, I look and I say, okay, Georgia never expected to be represented by the two gentlemen who are representing them in the United States Senate. There are people here today, Deb Scott among them, who helped make that happen. We don't know how good government can be until we really flex our muscles. We win just about every battle that we fight. That's a Jesse Jackson aphorism. When we fight, we win. But when we don't fight, we don't win. So what does that tell us? We must always be in the mode to fight. We must always be prepared. There are other victories to be won. There's criminal justice reform. There's voting rights. There's a lot that needs to be done. There are millions of 10 million poor children in this country. There's still lots of work to be done. And it's up to us to lead that work and be. Joe Lowry was my neighbor next door to me when my office was in Atlanta. Some of you younger folk may not know who Joseph Lowry was, but I asked Dr. Lowry, because he was so full of wisdom, I asked him one day, what is it about leadership? He said the number one quality of leadership is character and courage. Courage. That we can all figure out what needs to be done, but having the guts to go do it. And I think that's what Jesse Jackson has meant to me throughout my life. He used to tell us, say, look, if you don't win, leave some footprints on the door. So there'll be evidence that you tried to kick it in. That's the spirit with which I think we have to approach this work.
I love it. I love it. Love that.
There's a book of Jesse Jackson's sayings that I'm going to take and make into a manual for civil rights organizing.
I love that. Jesseisms.
We start with Keep Hope Alive and just move right on from there.
I love that. And to the brand new president-elect of the National Bar Association, congratulations. Wonderful to have you here. In this capacity as the leader of lawyers all across the nation, what does this day, once again, mean to you as not only an attorney, but a black woman?
Yes. This moment, this day, just the past few weeks and getting to today means everything to me as a black woman, because we look at it, we've never seen a black woman Supreme Court justice. And so to have this day be here and be a reality, it's everything. And not just for black women. I think that one thing that we continue to overlook is there's public defenders out there now that are looking at Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson and saying, oh, we can become a Supreme Court justice too. And it's once you see it, you can believe it. And that's where we are with this. And I think that what's been said so far about voting is, I hear a lot of younger people talking about why vote, what has President Biden done, or even, as we're coming up on midterms, it's not a presidential election, and our young people really the importance of what midterms is, because if we did not have win those 2 Georgia Senate seats, we may not be here today, because we would not have had enough votes to get it all out of committee. We know that during the President Obama's final years in office that so many judges never got to see confirmation hearings. And so that's where we would be if we didn't win those 2 elections. So midterms are important. It's important that power does not shift in any way, by any number. It can shift the right way. So let me rephrase. It can shift the right way, but as we come into October midterms, we have to be vigilant about protecting our rights, making sure our people are not deterred from voting, and getting our people out to vote.
I hear you. quickly follow up on the point that you made about public defenders, because she is also breaking the glass ceiling with that as well. We often talk about the importance of personal experience, like bringing your background to the court. I know that obviously she's a justice. She's going to be looking at the law. But every human being frames what they see from their own experiences. And so how important is it to have the perspective and the experiences of a public defender on the highest court in the land?
I think it's important that any person that's sitting as a neutral decision maker is able to adequately evaluate a claim from all sides, and her having that perspective gives her that. She's also serving on the Sentencing Commission. You know, she has so many experiences serving as a trial court judge. She's not just supremely qualified, as we said. She's going to be the most qualified justice on the Supreme Court when she takes the bench in October. And I think that because of her experiences, she's going to be formidable, and I just look forward to seeing her in action.
Love it. Thank you. And Ms. Tanya Clayhouse Brown, so good to see you, girl. So it's just wonderful to see people that have been in this fight forever, like really for years. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, not literally. Okay. No. But as black women, you never know how old we are. Let's just say that too. Okay. But I will say this, can you give us a perspective, because you've actually, held various different professional positions, and in your role now, can you talk about the importance of how institutions can help sort of activist organizations? What is the role of organizations like yours for making sure that we can continue these fights wherever they might mount, including in a historic situation like today?
Well, first I want to say what a privilege it is to be on this panel with all of my sisters. You're right. We have been in this fight for a long time, and I don't mind dating myself. It's a blessing to be able to be here. Today was historic, and you're right. I've held many roles. Worked in the Hill. I was that staffer working with Biden, former Senator Biden. I was that staffer running around looking for free meals at receptions. I was that staffer writing letters and, helping the Congress, our members of Congress. I've worked at organizations, civil rights organizations, as policy director, and, now I'm in philanthropy. And I've worked in a variety of positions, and I worked for President Obama, and that was historic as well. And I think what I've noticed and what I've been able to take away from a lot of this is that this moment, we have to take it in. We have to allow ourselves to be present. It's something that it took me a while to learn, as we were so busy fighting to get to somewhere, but we weren't always present and accepting when we actually had a win. And this was a long time coming, but I recall, and you all remember, I remember drafting a letter 10 years ago for then President Obama saying, we need to nominate a black woman for the Supreme Court. I remember when all of us were together and the Black Women's Roundtable, and we were doing things. Organizations now, I think we have to understand that we do have to flex our power. And, I'm in a position where I'm able to support, in philanthropy in a separate vein, the work that is being done on the voting rights front, because it is about getting out the vote, right? And it is able to make sure that we're supporting those organizations that have been on the ground doing this work for so many years. And that's critical, because we wouldn't be where we are right now if we weren't able to support those that have been doing that work and getting out the vote. But I think it's equally important for other organizations beyond, in my other capacities. I'm the chair, as I said, a proud member of the NBA, chair of the National Bar Association Civil Rights Section, and working with my sisters also as well in the coalition. I've seen so many different paths in which we've had to take. And I think we have to be able to hold that space and make sure that we bring our experiences to bear. To say, I think we all felt what she felt at that table, right? That sigh that went across, we said, that's all of us. You're representing all of us. And to be able to experience today when she talked about how, and I think actually it was President Biden who lifted up the young, I think she might have been in middle school, young lady who now had the, opportunity. She was very, thinking about now she could be a Supreme Court justice. Tears were in my eyes because it reminded me of myself in middle school writing my law school application, but not actually being told that this was something that I could do. And it is historic, but I think our organizations have to take it in, but also fight for what it is that we believe in and not shy down. Don't back down. Make sure that we got to win. And so keep getting more wins and keep doing what is necessary to make this happen. Don't say that, oh, we're done. No. We're just getting started. Black women have been here. We will continue to be here. And we will continue to force the issue and force the question and force a President Biden to have a black female vice president, and force a President Biden to also nominate the first black woman to the Supreme Court. That's what we do. And so I'm proud about that.
I'm loving it. That's exactly what we do. And Frederick Douglass was absolutely right when he said power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, it never will. And it's beautiful to see black women make the demands and see it through. Absolutely. I have to ask my girl Perkins over here, though, because you also bring to this, once again, a domestic and an international perspective. What does this mean for black women who every day are out there, they're facing hurdles, black women who are in spaces where they are aspiring to be the first in whatever? What sort of advice can you give her in terms of how she can navigate those challenges and what sort of bridges that she needs to sort of surround herself with other black women in order to help lift her to the top?
Thank you, Dr. Avis. I am like everybody else. I am really full. Coming to this, my work has been since 1991 when I started this work. 1991, in my 30s, early 30s, meeting Dr. Haidt, meeting Dr. Thelma Daly, and having them look at me and say, you got something you need to do. I had to figure out what that something was going to be. So I chose mentoring. I chose mentoring because as a 13-year-old girl growing up in the Bahamas, I was an American, but growing up in the Bahamas, there was a different view for my life. Most of my friends got married at 15 and 16 years old. So usually someone from the neighborhood, it was arranged that way, and we didn't have, girls in my group didn't have aspirations to do much more than be married and take care of our families. But I chose to do something else. So at 16 years old, I left the island saying, I don't want to do that life, but I don't know what I want to do. So when I chose mentoring, I thought, I'm going to be exceptional at that. I'm going to look for every little black and brown face I can find, and I'm going to give them anything, everything that I've gotten, I'm going to give it away to them. And here I am at 64 years old. That's what I do every single day. I mentor. I can't count the women that have come through my life. It's been my honor and my blessing. So today, this day, and not just in this country, I'm the International Black Women's Public Policy. We're in 8 countries and 11 major cities, and looking for more, because there are black girls in the world who are looking at television, who are looking at their phones and seeing this day and taking in something for themselves on this day. So for me, this is my lane. Everybody has something to do. Mentoring for me is that something. Someone has to stay on the job, making sure that black girls and boys understand that it is possible. And today is the visual of that, the evidence that through hard work, perseverance, that your dreams and your hopes and your visions can become a reality. So I'm filled up again. I showed up this morning from Atlanta. I didn't have an agenda. I didn't even know what was going on. I just wanted to be in the space be in the space where black women were saying to ourselves, today we get to take a bow. This is a victory lap, and we get to enjoy it. I wanted to be here to enjoy it with you and you and you and you, and just say, let's take this moment, exhale, because we got to get back on the job.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
You are welcome. That's very powerful. All right, so just starting in the end, since you guys have been waiting the longest, I would love to get your perspectives, because actually we have a full table. Maybe everybody can kind of, to some degree, speak to this, because you're all leaders. And being a black woman leader is it's a bigger challenge, right? Can you let me know from your perspective, right, as a leader, as someone who has been in this fight for years, not only what this day means, but also what advice you would give to younger black women, maybe earlier in their career trajectory, around how they can confidently and safely, if that's a word, but effectively navigate a path to leadership so they can sort of break those ceilings that they might want to break in the future as well.
Good question. So, I mean, this moment means so much. First of all, as a black woman lawyer, it's come full circle because, so I was a person who was in my third year of law school when Clarence Thomas was nominated. And I knew that my legal career was going to be in civil rights, but that it would be hampered by his existence on the Supreme Court. And I have continued the fight, but always knew that he was there, and he was there in Justice Marshall's seat. And that he would undo everything that Justice Marshall stood for. And so I think in this moment for black women, for black girls, for black teens, for black youth, that we have to realize that one of the things that we should learn from her is not only persevere, because one of the things about persevere is, like, I want to live in a moment where I don't have to tell someone to persevere because they're a black woman, right? Like, that's what freedom actually looks like. Not that I have to tell you, persevere, right? But I also know that I see myself in her because in high school there was a counselor who told me that I could not go to an Ivy League institution. But there was my black mother at home who was saying, yes, you can. And in fact, if you get into that school, University of Pennsylvania, that's where you're going. She chose my school for me because she said, you can do it, you will do it, and that's where you're going. And so we cannot be stifled by people who don't believe in us because they see us as something different from themselves. And this moment shows that, you know, I didn't think in my legal career that there would be a black woman sitting on the Supreme Court because I didn't have faith in this country to make it happen. I had faith in black women to do the work and black communities to do the work, but I didn't have faith in in the structures and the politics to make it happen. And so we have to see ourselves in this moment. We have to see ourselves as being able to, as Janice said, kick down the door and leave the footprints for the next generation. And that there is, you know, when people say you can't do it, like the possibilities, and President Biden talked about this, America is about possibilities, and there's so much that is against us, but black people have always known that there is more than what this country brought us here to do, and that our trajectory and our journey is about being the more in America.
I feel like passing a plate, Judy, after that. You know, your question is so salient because there are a couple themes that are emerging for me today. Number one is our shared experiences. Because as I sat here and listened to Judith talking about what a counselor told her she couldn't do, it took me back to Mr. Sanchez. And my husband says, let go of Mr. Sanchez.
Mine was Miss Sanchez.
Okay. They're probably related, Judy. They're related. They're related. And I was in Pennsylvania. They were related. But Mr. Sanchez told me, because I was a little black girl who was growing up in the projects with my single mother raising me, that I could not go to one of the best universities in the country. And he said, you're smart, but apply to just the state schools. Now I didn't have anything against the state schools, but I knew, because my mother and her mother told me I could be whatever I wanted to be and do whatever I wanted to do. So one of the lessons coming out of today is listen to the Mr. Sanchez's, because they will propel you to prove them wrong. They will propel you to prove them wrong. And we heard Judge Brown share her experiences about the people who said, well, you know, Harvard, that's a little bit out of your league. Those people will propel us to go on. That's number one. Number two, today the United States made a down payment on those promises that they talked about so many years ago, that promise to equal justice under law, liberty and equality for all. Today was just a down payment. I say it's the layaway plan. It's the layaway plan. A little bit at a time. And today was just the first step. We have to see more Judge Ketanji Brown Jacksons on the Supreme Court, in the district courts, in the circuit courts. We have to see more governors. We have yet to see a black woman governor in the United States. That's the next payment. We don't have senators. It really did not, it was not lost on me yesterday that there was not one black woman in the Senate chamber who could cast that vote. It was not lost on me. I'm sure it wasn't lost on any of us. So we have to remember that today is a down payment. And lastly, we have to remember this, that the connection that we all have as black women is stronger than any effort to pull us down, to keep us apart, and to hold us back. Just walking in this room today, I was just taken aback because I saw so many women who have been a part of my journey. Judith has been a part of my journey. Before I even went to law school, she was a part of my journey, telling me I could do this. Reverend Andrea has been a part of my journey, getting into good trouble, as the late, great Congressman John Lewis said. We've all been getting into good trouble today. In fact, Judy and I were getting into good trouble sitting here today. But that is what today is a reminder of, and those should be the lessons that young black women take from today. No one can stop us. Use the nose to spur you onward, and remember that today is just a down payment on what is owed to us. Not what we are asking or begging for, but what is owed to us. And remember also, finally, that our sisterhood has to reign supreme no matter what. No matter who tries to get in the way and who tries to tear us apart, our sisterhood reigns supreme. That's what I want young black girls to lay their heads on the pillows tonight and think about and dream about.
So I would love to get perspectives, because I know that organizing is in the blood here, right? So I would love to give some perspectives on organizing. Like, I love the charges. It is absolutely true. This is just the layaway plan. This is just the down payment. And kind of putting that in connection with what Reverend Jackson so rightly said, that there is still capacity for power that has yet to be untapped. And to me, the link between the two is the organizing. So I'd love to get your perspectives on what are the most effective ways that we can prepare to be as powerful as possible, looking at the midterms and beyond. Really, this is about the maximizing of black power at the local, state, and national level. How can we make sure that no matter where we are, our power is flexed?
Well, first, let me just say it's an honor to be here today. I'm so excited. I just came in off an airplane from New Mexico. Oh, wow. I was there at a conference with the American Heart Association. And let me just tell you, I was dancing yesterday there with my shirt on with Judge Jackson. You know, organizing and leadership, for me,
It's all one and the same. You want to see a black woman succeed? Tell her that she cannot. It's very evident, right? I come from the organizing background. My father was a minister. We organized in the church, right? I'm from labor. We have sisters here that are from law. We have sisters here that are from the activists. We have faith leaders here. We have entrepreneurs here. And that's the beauty of black women. We are everywhere. And we are assertive. We did not start this journey last week, 2 weeks, or a month ago with saying that we need a black female Supreme Court justice. Melanie Campbell led us even when Obama was in office, saying that we need this. We deserve this. We are ready for this. And here we are this day. Organizing is an ongoing thing, as Reverend Jackson always teaches us. It never stops. Each time I see a new sister just walk in the room, every time we make progress and we win something else, or even when we lose, we bring more sisters to the table. When they tell us we cannot organize in the South, what do? We take the South over. We take the South over. It is in our nature. It's in our blood. I see more and more young women. I have a niece. She's 11 years old, and she just won a champion trophy for playing basketball. She practices it all the time. She's on the court all the time. When she walks on the court, she walks on that court with her attitude of, I'm here now. I am here. Let's play ball. That's what we are. We are here. Let's play ball. So we have a lot of work to do. We are excited. And this is what we always do in our community, in our families, in this society. We never rejoice. You know that, Ava, we never take the time, because we're always, while we're in this present time, we're thinking about what we have to do in the midterms. Right? We're thinking about all that we have to do, not just to make this United States a better United States that we deserve, but just even for our families. And so Judge Jackson represents us all. She is a wife. She is a mother. She is a daughter. She is a sister. And we all know at that hearing, I cried all night long, just going through the trauma that I experienced. She represents us. And so we are excited today. We're going to take, just even if it's this weekend, and we are going to celebrate, right? Right, Reverend? We're going to celebrate and we're going to rejoice. But black women, we are always thinking about the next. And so part of our next, as the sister just saying, is making sure that we are reaching for others. That sister just walked in the room. She used to be my administrative assistant. She is over the Washington Metropolitan Labor Council. That's all the labor in the Metropolitan Council. She is the president there, right? And so that's what we have to constantly do. It's not just about us. It's not just about this moment. It's about 25 years from now, 50 years from now, because on the other side, they have the 50-year plan. Guess what? We have leaders, and our plan is not just for today. We will continue to lead. And guess what? We will continue to win. So let's just rejoice today, and then tonight we go back to work.
Monday. I've been referred to as Reverend. That's not all of me. When you say organizing, actually part of my intersectionality of my profile, I'm a lawyer. I'm an trained ordained clergy minister. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Those intersections, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, on the north side. Prophetic revolutionary imagination. That's my thing. Organizing is about we as black people stop letting them tell us what is possible. Stop letting the system state what our limitations are. When I walk in I work on Capitol Hill and advocate for justice issues. I enter the room, I introduce myself. I say, I'm seeking God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. And we negotiate down from there. So today, to see the confirmation of this woman, and I'm not going to bring myself to tears where I just completely lost it yesterday. I went to the University of Missouri, Columbia, 3 years. I was an assistant attorney. I was the only female assistant attorney general for the state of Missouri when I joined. My mother said, "Were you the first?" I don't even know, because all I knew was I was just trying to make it in that system for those 5 years. I practiced before administrative law judges. I had the law school professors, opposing counsel. Never had a black woman in any of those positions in all of that time. And now I work on Capitol Hill advocating for these changes. And I'm surrounded by black women who are doing this thing. The former white male that I worked for actually thought all of them adults. They weren't. Because we all doing this thing together. My point is again, I'm just going to reiterate, in my lens, the prophetic revolutionary imagination, and stop speaking truth. We say speak truth in power, speak truth to power. They don't have power. My faith says that the power of God that is divine within all of us is the power that we use, and that is what gets us. And when Justice Ketanji Onika Brown Jackson says that she is a woman of strong faith, it is that power that gets you through all of this and never leaving anybody behind. And organizing merely starts with making sure you're not the only one or the last one.
Preach, Pastor. That's right. Pastor. We got to get the collection plate going here. So now we have, okay, got it. All righty. So Higher Heights is in the house. And I have to say, you all are powerful, have worked for years now to make sure that black women are represented in elected positions, which I believe connects to what we're seeing here. But can we talk a little bit about your perspectives, not only on this, but someone also alluded to moving forward. Like, we know we have more black women who are now running for governor. You know, what's on the agenda for Higher Heights moving forward to continue to lift up black women in political power?
So Higher Heights was born out of a Brooklyn cafe by two girlfriends, right? It talks about the power of black women when we gather, may it be 2 or 10,000. 11 years ago. And we wrote the words Higher Heights down that day, not knowing we were building what we were searching for, which was a political home, right? We didn't see ourselves necessarily in the work. As y'all know, particularly when you're in broader spaces, you would gather, the Black Caucus would gather in the corner because these rooms are mostly white and mostly male. 10 years later, we certainly knew that Beyond 2020 was about electing more black women. So on March 8th, 2021, which, by the way, is International Women's Day and my birthday, we put out a full-page ad in the New York Times that celebrated the record wins in 2020, right? We have, in 10 years, with the growing number of black-led and black women-led political organizations, we have the largest number of black women serving in Congress. We elected the largest number of black women serving as mayors of top 100 cities. In 2014, there were only 2 black women serving as mayors of top 100 cities. We now have 8, right? We now have 28 black women serving in the House of Representatives. In 2014, there were just 18. But we also in that ad, and at that time, we had elected the first black woman vice president. But at the same time, 0 black women never, ever, never, ever elected governor, which I think most Americans are like, what do you mean? There's never been a black woman governor. 0 black women in the Senate, which was apparent yesterday, although the ascension of Kamala Harris from her seat in the chamber to the head of the chamber is significant, but 0 black women. We've only elected 2 in our country's history, and it took almost 20 years between Carol Moseley Braun in 1991 to a Kamala Harris in 2016. So we know we're not waiting that long. At that time, we put 0 black women sitting on the Supreme Court and 0 black women presidents. In 1 year, ladies, we're about to check some zeros off. And it's not just electing a black woman governor. This year, there could be a cohort of black women governors with an S. We can elect black women senators with an S in 1 year, and we've already checked one off with a justice. But there's work to be done. What we saw during this confirmation is it doesn't matter at how great we are, that this nation believes that we're not enough. And it's not insignificant that I always share is that she looks like us, right? She's a brown-skinned woman with glasses, with locks, who stood there with the president unapologetically black in her faith. And when she quoted Maya Angelou's the first line of that poem, and we all looked around like, oh, she about to drop that second line on America, that she doesn't shy away from who she is. And that shows you the power of the authenticity of black women, that when we come into spaces, we bring all black women. But more importantly, we can rock and be excited about her being that black woman in that space. But when you bring black women, they're coalition builders. And so they bring all America. And so, using Maya Angelou as an inspiration today, she said in her poem, Godmothers, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. And she certainly stood there today, at least I know speaking for us, in the possibilities that exist for black women's leadership. So the work ahead, ladies, is we celebrate and then we organize. And we're going to elect governors, U.S. senators, mayors, and black women from school boards, all the way to the White House.
I love it. Absolutely. And I just have to say, recognize Incorporated and Delta Sigma Theta. Okay. All right. So I had to bring the bridge inside. Okay. So I would love to learn more. First of all, pleasure to meet you. I know that the sort of deep of Delta's in here, but can you talk a little bit about your role and what this means for, the thousands upon thousands of Deltas across the country that I know also worked to make this day possible?
Thank you so much. Yes, I am Elsie Cook Holmes, and I am National President and Chair of the National Board of Directors for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And we have members, first of all, since 1913, social action has really been in the DNA of Delta Sigma Theta from the time of our founding through now. So certainly fighting for issues of importance not only to our members, but to our communities, the representation that we want to make sure is at every level of government. So this day, Deltas have been working hard since the day of the nomination, making sure our statements got out there, making sure that our members mobilized via social media, via reaching out to their senators, being able to collectively let our voices be heard. And not only with Delta, but as you point, with the other sororities, the other D9 sororities, as well as fraternities, but certainly with this coalition between NCNW, Black Women's Round Table, overall Black women's leaders and allies be heard to make sure that we could do our part to influence this day happening. And it is an absolutely amazing day. Yesterday, I think we were all in front of our TVs. I was on with some SARS, and we were celebrating as well as trying to make sure our statement that we wanted to put out, we were like, okay, as soon as she calls the vote, we're going to press the button. So our statement's going to be on social media. It's going to go out to our membership because it's just that important. So it is a historic day for our members, for our communities, especially for our children, our daughters, especially to be able to see daughters, all youth coming up to really be able to see this from a role model perspective is just absolutely amazing. And I want to say the representation of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, soon to be Justice, yes, Ketanji Brown Jackson, is the fact that not only does she look like us, so that's what's demonstrative in terms of what we see, but the fact that she brings the wealth of experience that she brings the diversity of thought, the diversity of experience that the court sorely needs, So not only her experience as a black woman, because yes, we know that is going to make this court that much more powerful, and she will be able to represent, though she'll represent all people. But as I say, we are proud that she's there, but the entire country benefits from the diversity of thought experiences that are not on that court at this point, that will be on that court after this time. So I, like others, say, yes, we are celebrating. We're celebrating today. We'll celebrate this weekend, but we will be back on the front lines to make sure that we do what we need to do in the midterm elections to fight for issues that are important to us, and certainly beyond as well.
Thank you so much. Joaquina, I know. The Deltas are ganging up on me, guys. So, Joaquina, I would love to get your perspective as a millennial, as a young woman who's spent many years working with young women around the country around political issues, organizing, educating, empowering. You know, what's your message to young women right now in terms of the stakes that are there for them to
as well? Thank you, Madam President, just for your amazing leadership. There's so much that could be said to what you just raised with me, Avis, but I think the thing that stands out to me the most, and I think the thing that probably resonates with folks who are young or younger than myself, is the fact that when she said, I am the dream and the hope, her is one generation from to the Supreme Court. What she represents is more than possibility. She represents accomplishments. When we talk about confirmation, the word confirmation for black women in particular means so much. And to see her there and all of her accomplishments and still be attacked for being great. She wasn't good. She was great. She was exceptional. And black women have always been those who have been targeted for being exceptional, right? Even when we don't feel our best or look our best, we are still operating at a level that is higher than any other group around us because we have a responsibility to it. We've been called to it. And so when she talked about in her testimony, when she was talking about her experience at Harvard and how she started feeling homesick and out of place, black women live that experience every single day. But there is something that is a part of our DNA that puts us in a position to see it through. And seeing her today and taking in the moment to her parents and how she stood there as a testament to their sacrifice, I shared in that moment with her. As someone who was a first-generation college student who paved the way not only for my siblings to go to college, but my parents to go to college, different experience. It was a different experience when she talked about her mom going to work every day so that her dad could go to law school and set the mold for her to be the inspiration for her. So there's something to be said about the family unit. And there's something to be said about young girls who not only have their mothers to lean on, but to see their fathers also stand up and standing together. What is possible. And the affirmation that a part of her journey, I think, is something that we all felt. You know, be it lawyer or, you know, or not, be it female or not, be it black or not. If you have a story like that, you can't help but connect to it. And so irrespective of generation, you know, she set a mold and a standard that it is baked forever in the fabric of America, in the fabric of this world. That is what she showed the entire world, is that we are beyond worthy. We've been worthy, and now you're just saying.
Yes, been worthy. All righty, and I just would love to say, Joaquina mentioned this thing, I would love to just recognize the brothers, okay? Because this is a moment where we can show together we are better. Can you really say your perspective on the men and what you have done in terms of making sure that we can organize together and move forward and break down?
Thank you. I'll call you Dr. Avis. Damon Hewitt, president of the Lawyers in the Law. I am spoiled and I am blessed. And I say that because when I was in law school, I was a mentee of Lina Guinier. When I was an intern 1998, I worked for a woman named Robin Linhart, who's now a law professor at Georgetown now, and she herself was the clerk for Justice Breyer. She showed me what was possible. At the time, Barbara Ornwine ran the Lawyers Committee. I went to work at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, which was led by Elaine Jones at the time. The first legal memo I wrote was actually for Judith Brown Dianis, and now I lead the Lawyers Committee as president, which was led by Barbara Ornwine and then Kristen Clark. So what is normalized to me is black women leadership in the law. So imagine the dissonance when we're not seeing black women on the bench as they should, or until recently in the executive halls of executive power. Harris. So we talk about possibility, but we also have to have the results, right? And so, and I think to the heart of your question, to the core of your question, Avis, in terms of what we've done as brothers, we've had to answer the call. It's not just sitting on the sidelines. There's making space, right, and respecting women's leadership, but there's also answering the call. So, sister, I hope I've answered every time you've called, right? It's called. She does call a lot. She'll call, she'll text, she'll email, and you have to put in that sweat equity because the solidarity must be authentic. It can't be in name only. It can't be when it's time to. It has to be when you're in the background and there is no glory, or when there is no clear solution, when there's just problem to help solve, right? And so, and I've been happy to do that for Delta as well. I'm teasing myself. I'm your outside counsel now for Delta Sigma Theta, right? Because it's so organized, right? So, but it's really about that. Whether it's Latasha at Black Voters Matter, whether it's Melanie, anywhere, it's about way. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to start off by saying I'm thanking God that I've been able to see this. I've been in the labor movement for almost 60 years. And first, when I saw Obama elected, I said, wow, I lived to see a black man be president. But to watch her confirmation brought tears to my eyes. To see a woman rise in leadership to that level. You know what I said to myself? The 60 years, sister, you have spent fighting for social justice, the door just came open. We've been hitting on that brick, a large stone out there, year after year, and it takes a long while for it to crack. Her go on, and to be able to watch it, have my mental attitude to understand what's happening. Oh, it's been wonderful for me. For those that don't know me, my name is Loretta Johnson. I put a doctor in front of it. I come out of education, but I didn't come out as a teacher. I was a teacher aide who rose through my union to become the first black secretary treasurer, number 2. So I understand what leadership is all about. I understand how we have to stand up for social issues. And I agree, we do have to celebrate, but we have to go back to work. I'm here because I was so proud to get an opportunity to just put real life eyes, even to the face that I've been looking at for this past month. I can go on and on. We in the union, it's not a job. I gave up family, going to family meetings, to be marching on social issues. So I will continue that fight. But our young people have to step up. And I see them today. I was so proud watching the young folks walk in as I sat at the table. So I also say all that I've done is not bad because we got people in our footsteps to follow. And Melanie, the job that Melanie has been doing, Campbell, I just can say, I'll take my hat off to her every day. And thanks for the opportunity. And I thank God for blessing me to be here to see that candidate.
And got it. And while we have the last panelist coming up, would love today.
Thank you.